Recently at 5:15 p.m. on this month, the relative calm along the Donetsk-Luhansk frontier was violently shattered. The evening sky ignited as Russian Federation forces initiated one of the most concentrated and powerful combined arms assaults of the conflict. The operation began with a massive preparatory artillery barrage designed to obliterate Ukrainian forward defensive positions. The opening salvo came from an array of 240 BM-30 Smerch multiple launch rocket systems. Firing almost in unison, these systems unleashed a storm of 300 mm rockets, each weighing over 800 pounds, and carrying a variety of submunition or high explosive warheads. The rockets streaked across the sky, their fiery trails converging on Ukrainian defensive belts. Upon impact, the detonations tore through reinforced bunkers, obliterated concealed artillery positions, and disabled critical radar installations. The ground trembled under the relentless bombardment, with dozens of impacts per second, creating a continuous, rolling thunder that could be felt for miles. The strategic objective was to create a breach through which armored formations could pour with minimal resistance. Moments after the Smerch barrage began, the second phase of the preparatory fire mission commenced. From rear positions, Russian forces launched approximately 40 Iskander-M short-range ballistic missiles. These projectiles ascended on pillars of fire before accelerating to hypersonic speeds, making them exceptionally difficult to intercept. Their targets were high-value assets located deeper behind the front lines, ammunition depots, logistical supply hubs, makeshift forward airfields, and hardened command centers. Each warhead delivered a devastating payload, sending shockwaves that shattered windows in nearby civilian settlements and throwing plumes of fire and smoke hundreds of feet into the air. The combined effect of the rocket and missile strikes was designed to systematically dismantle Ukraine's layered defense, blinding its sensors and severing its logistical arteries before the ground assault had even begun. This was a textbook application of Russian deep battle doctrine, aiming for operational paralysis through overwhelming firepower. With the preparatory fires ongoing, the Russian engineering vanguard began its advance. A contingent of 20 UR-77 Meteorit mine-clearing vehicles moved forward under the cover of the artillery storm. These tracked vehicles launched line charges, hoses packed with high explosives, over suspected Ukrainian minefields. The subsequent detonations were designed to clear safe lanes, each up to 100 meters long and 6 meters wide, for the main armored column. Following directly behind them was the core of the assault force, a spearhead of 55 T-90ME main battle tanks, each 48-ton vehicle equipped with Contact 5 explosive reactive armor, and the Stora-1 active protection system represented the apex of Russian armored capability. Their 125mm smoothbore guns, capable of firing projectiles at over 5,500 feet per second, were intended to engage and destroy any Ukrainian armor that had survived the initial bombardment. Supporting this armored fist was a significant infantry component, comprising 900 elite VDV paratroopers. These highly trained soldiers, armed with modern AK-12 rifles, GP-34 underbarrel grenade launchers, and 9M133 Kornet anti-tank guided missiles, moved alongside the tanks in armored personnel carriers and infantry fighting vehicles. Their role was to suppress Ukrainian infantry positions, protect the tanks' vulnerable flanks, and clear fortified trenches. In total, the deployed force represented a staggering concentration of military hardware, estimated to be worth over $1.1 billion, committed to a single, decisive breakthrough operation. For Moscow's commanders, this assault was engineered to be a flawless demonstration of military might, intended to shatter Ukrainian lines and achieve a significant operational victory in a matter of hours. Unbeknownst to the advancing Russian forces, the Ukrainian defense, under the command of General Alexander Syrskyi, was not designed to meet this onslaught head-on. Drawing from years of experience countering Russian assaults near Bakhmut, Syrskyi had implemented a flexible defense-in-depth strategy. The plan was not to hold a static front line, which would be pulverized by the initial barrage, but to absorb the initial blow, channel the Russian armored spearhead into pre-sighted engagement areas, and then annihilate it with coordinated precision strikes. Weeks of meticulous preparation had gone into creating these kill zones. Dispersed and heavily camouflaged within the dense forests flanking the Russian axis of advance were 40 M270 multiple launch rocket systems. Positioned alongside them were 48 M142 high mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, armed with GPS-guided GMLRS rockets. The targeting data for these systems had already been preloaded, focusing on likely Russian approach routes, assembly areas, and command posts. In the skies above, a rotational patrol of 12 F-16 Fighting Falcons provided critical air cover and real-time intelligence. Armed with AIM-120 AMRAAM air-to-air missiles and advanced targeting pods, their mission was twofold: to intercept any Russian air support, particularly attack helicopters, and to provide precise targeting information for the ground-based artillery. On the ground, Ukrainian Special Forces teams were dug into the concealed positions along the flanks of the anticipated Russian advance. Equipped with FGM-148 Javelin anti-tank missiles and FM-92 Stinger portable air defense systems, their orders were to remain hidden, allow the main Russian force to pass, and then engage the enemy's flanks and rear echelons once the column was fully committed and inside the kill zone. Syrskyi's strategy was a calculated gamble, based on patience, deception, and the superior precision of Western-supplied munitions, designed to turn Russia's overwhelming force into a liability. At 5:42 p.m, the Russian advance encountered its first unforeseen disaster. One of the UR-77 Meteorit mine-clearing vehicles launched its explosive line charge over a sector that, unbeknownst to Russian intelligence, concealed a hidden Ukrainian ammunition cache. The resulting sympathetic detonation was immense, creating a massive underground explosion that ripped through the forward elements of the Russian assault. The blast instantly vaporized or tore apart 10 Russian vehicles, including armored transports and engineering support units, hurling their wreckage across the battlefield. The armored column momentarily stalled in confusion, the fiery chasm before them a testament to a catastrophic miscalculation. This explosion, however, also threatened to prematurely reveal Ukraine's defensive layout. In his command post, General Syrskyi remained composed, issuing a single critical order: hold positions. He correctly assessed that the Russians would likely interpret the explosion as a successful strike on a major Ukrainian defensive node, not as an accident. This brief pause was all the Ukrainian forces needed. Moments later, the coordinated counterstroke was unleashed. The 12 F-16S descended from their holding patterns, their radars acquiring targets. They launched a volley of AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles, which streaked towards a squadron of 7 Russian Kar-52 Alligator attack helicopters that were providing overwatch and artillery spotting for the ground assault. The sudden, overwhelming missile attack resulted in the near-instantaneous destruction of all 7 helicopters, depriving the Russian ground forces of crucial air support and real-time intelligence. Simultaneously, the concealed HIMARS batteries commenced their fire mission. A total of 96 GMLRS rockets arched through the sky, their GPS guidance systems steering them directly onto the bunched-up formation of T-90ME tanks. In a devastating display of precision, the rockets rained down on the armored column. Within less than 5 minutes, 22 Russian tanks were catastrophically destroyed or disabled, many suffering turret ejections as their internal ammunition stores detonated. The surviving Russian commanders reacted with fury, attempting to regain the initiative. The remaining BM-30 Smerch systems redirected their fire, launching retaliatory salvos towards suspected HIMARS launch locations. One of these barrages struck a Ukrainian forward command post, killing 3 soldiers and wounding 6 more, but this tactical success did little to stem the tide. In response, Ukraine's M270 batteries answered with a volley of 40 rockets, saturating the Russian staging zones, where infantry and support vehicles were attempting to regroup. The effect was devastating, shredding entire infantry companies and collapsing communications as command vehicles were hit. By 6:05 p.m., less than an hour into the ground assault, the Russian armoured spearhead had lost nearly 30% of its strength. It was at this moment that the Ukrainian special forces revealed themselves. From their concealed positions in the forests, they initiated coordinated volleys of Javelin missiles into the flanks of the now stalled and disorganized tank formations, disabling another 7 vehicles. Russian VDV troops dismounted and attempted to form a defensive perimeter, firing their Kornet anti-tank missiles at suspected Ukrainian positions. One Kornet missile found its mark, destroying a Ukrainian armored vehicle, but these isolated successes were insufficient to reverse the rapidly deteriorating situation. The battlefield had devolved into a chaotic hellscape, with Russian infantry scrambling for cover as HIMARS salvos continued to pound their positions and cut off their routes of retreat. By the time the smoke began to settle, the Russian assault was no longer a coherent force, but a fractured, bleeding remnant struggling for survival. By 6:20 p.m., the engagement had transitioned from a calculated Russian assault to a desperate fight for survival. The loss of air support and the crippling damage to their armoured vanguard had shattered the operational cohesion of the Russian force. From the dense tree lines, Ukrainian M270 and HIMARS launchers continued to fire in successive coordinated volleys, shifting their focus to the Russian rear echelons. Guided rockets slammed into ammunition trucks, which erupted in massive secondary explosions, and fuel convoys, which ignited into towering fireballs that lit up the dusk sky. Command and control vehicles were systematically targeted and shredded into twisted metal, severing the links between commanders and their beleaguered units. At the same time, the F-16S pressed their advantage, conducting low-altitude strafing runs on exposed infantry columns. VDV troops caught in the open were forced to dive into ditches and abandoned farmhouses as 20 mm cannon fire tore through their ranks. Any attempt to regroup was met with another precision strike, breaking up formations and inducing panic. Exploiting this chaos, Ukrainian Special Forces teams maneuvered through concealed trenches and wooded areas, continuing their hunt for high-value targets. Another 7 T-90ME tanks fell victim to Javelin missiles, their advanced armor proving ineffective against the weapon's top attack profile. By 6:30 p.m., it was assessed that fewer than 20 of the original 55 tanks remained fully operational. Russian artillery crews attempted a frantic counter-barrage, firing over 400 shells in a desperate 15-minute period. However, with their spotter helicopters destroyed and command links severed, these fire missions were largely unguided and inaccurate, with most shells impacting harmlessly in empty fields. By 6:45 p.m., what remained of the Russian line had completely collapsed. Infantry losses had climbed to over 350 killed or wounded, with survivors scattered in small, isolated pockets. The final decisive blow fell just before 7 p.m., when a coordinated strike from both HIMARS and M270 batteries located and obliterated a primary Russian field command post, killing several senior officers. With their leadership eliminated, the remaining Russian units fought on blindly until their ammunition was exhausted. Ukrainian mechanized forces then began a systematic encirclement, capturing hundreds of soldiers who could no longer offer effective resistance. By nightfall, the battlefield was a smoldering testament to a catastrophic military failure. What Moscow had envisioned as a swift surgical breakthrough had devolved into one of its most significant single-day defeats. The landscape was littered with the burning hulks of T-90ME tanks and the wreckage of support vehicles. The strategic gamble had failed, at a staggering cost in both elite manpower and advanced military hardware. The Ukrainian defense, predicated on strategy, patience, and precision, had decisively triumphed over brute force, demonstrating that a well-prepared and intelligently led force could neutralize a numerically and technologically superior adversary. The psychological impact of the images of destroyed T-90S and captured VDV paratroopers would reverberate far beyond this single battlefield, serving as a stark reminder of the evolving dynamics of modern warfare.